In this video, I will tell you my story, how I changed from being a Foley artist in the movies industry to becoming a senior Foley artist in the video games industry working for Ubisoft. This career change wasn't planned at all. By the way, my name is Bastian Gerner, also known as the Foley teacher, and I'm running my own business now in my own studio, but that is another story. In 2019, I was searching heavily for a new studio because the studio I was working in was an ADR studio that we used in a hybrid manner. So we recorded Foley in there, and then when there was an ADR, we just cleaned up the stage, and mainly I then even did the ADR recording. So I switched the room, sat behind the mixing desk, and then recorded ADR with actors. And I did that for a couple of years. Prior to that, I was a sound effects editor at the same company. Back then, the company wanted make this studio a 100% ADR studio, and they wanted to have Foley out of there. My job was not really threatened, but they really strongly told me, we have to find a new room for you so that you can continue doing your Foley, but we need the studio in this main facility for ADR. So I was looking for studios in Berlin for a long time. The company I was employed at for back then already for 7 years, called De Facto Motion, was a very good company for me to start my career after my apprenticeship, and I could go through the ranks and then even develop into becoming a re-recording mixer and then at the end a Foley artist. So it was brilliant to work there, but we were mainly working on TV movies, series, and every now and then a little like low budget cinema movie. And I wanted to work on 120 million movies, and the pressure went up and up and up because the management wanted to have that studio for ADR, and I had to find something, and already 1-2 years went in, nothing happened. I then eventually found a potential new studio at the Funkhaus Berlin, which is a very prestigious old building from the DDR where they hosted their radio for the whole country, and it's a very prestigious and famous building, but we couldn't just rent that because the owners only rented that out for kind of events like Red Bull Music Academy and stuff like that. There is this other huge building next to that smaller building where those prestigious studios are in, and there was one room that got actually freed because Paul Kalkbrenner, this famous electronic music producer, moved out of his studio, and we could grab that room. I basically thought, okay, this is it. We can do it in here. We can even work like a Foley factory, and I can train 2 more people, and then we can work like 3 people at the same time because these rooms are so good. They sounded brilliant, and I thought with that thick walls, it is actually soundproof. And the thing was, we just visited those rooms on the 23rd of December. The building was basically empty, and only when we then moved in, I realized that this was a mistake because it wasn't soundproof anymore. The building is just too old, and basically I was carrying up all the props and then starting to build up my rig or whatever on the first day, and then I heard someone walking on the floor outside. I could hear the footsteps, someone passing on the hallway. Half an hour later, I did my research. I just went out and looked what's going on, and then we decided we cannot do this. So we packed everything and went back to the original facility, to the ADR studio. So I was back at zero basically. After a couple of months maybe, I found another studio in the middle of Berlin, and we decided that could be potentially our new Foley studio. Exactly in that time zone, in that time frame, I got confronted with this opportunity that Ubisoft Düsseldorf is looking for a senior Foley artist to work on Avatar. And then I called a friend of mine. There's this job, Ubisoft, what do you think? He said, Ubisoft, you sure? He said, yes, you should consider it, because if you worked at Ubisoft for a couple of years, then you can basically work everywhere. And also Avatar was kind of appealing, as I wanted to work on those 120 million movies, which didn't work out so far. So I thought, okay, let's give that a shot. I looked into it, I researched and got in touch with the audio director and told him, yeah, I'm interested. And then so we got into a conversation, and then I decided to apply for this officially. I was basically invited then to go to Düsseldorf and introduce myself. And what I did is I put all the equipment that I had, including a lot of props and surfaces, into my station wagon. I went there and I showed them that I can basically do what they want. So I built up my modular Foley studio that was all in my trunk of my station wagon, or the whole car was basically packed. Then I built up my complete Foley setup in a small audio room that was filled up with a drum set, a sofa, a desk. So there was basically no space, but I made it kind of fit in there and then just performed live to some game footage that they presented to me, and then they recorded my mono sum into their computer, and then they could play back the game sequences with my live recorded Foley. And as it translated very well in that room on the spot, they then hired me. The crucial thing was, as we were coming closer to signing the deal of renting the studio in Berlin, this other Ubisoft opportunity came closer and closer, and as we were figuring out the deal, and so I was like, okay, I want to take the Ubisoft job, but if Ubisoft doesn't happen, I also don't want my current job to disappear, because we then don't rent the studio and they go for ADR and I have to go back to be an ADR recordist or sound effects editor. That was the kind of gamble that I had to play. I didn't want him to sign the deal on the studio and then me telling him, yeah, okay, now you have the studio, but you don't have a Foley artist anymore because I'm leaving. You know, that was something I wanted to avoid. In the end, everything kind of fell into place. So they eventually rented the studio. Niklas and Fabian Weigmann, they worked then in there as a team, and I then moved to Düsseldorf, where I could then start working on Avatar in a very non-ideal environment. So I had to continue elevating my skills in working in non-ideal environments. So that is a whole different story. I can tell you another time how I actually started at Ubisoft and how cruel it was to record the first batch of footsteps there. But that is something for another video. In this video, I want to conclude: if you have a goal, you set that goal and you work towards that goal. Be flexible. Keep the thing going that you have and make it the best you can. So find the new studio in my case. Then maybe another thing happens that you didn't even plan. Ubisoft opportunity working on Avatar. This is more than 120 million. It's one of the biggest franchises in the world in media. Be flexible. And always keep in mind what your long-term goal is. If you're interested in developing that together with me and other people within my community, the Foley Guild, then just DM me the word industry on Instagram and you can set up a free 20-minute roadmap call with me. We can talk about your vision and if I can help you with that, and if it's a good fit, you coming into our community, the Foley Guild. And in there we have a thriving community of dedicated, motivated audio people from all over the world, and they help each other, and it's really a great experience for me to also be there and host that and be one of the mentors there alongside my friend Paul Renard. And that is everything I wanted to say in this video. I hope it helped you, and please stay focused, reflect on what is your real goal, and then really put in the work and get there. That's it. Peace, the Foley Teacher.